Welcome. My name is Jennifer Hernandez, and I am a bilingual ESL consultant for Region 10. I am here today to provide you with an overview of the results-driven accountability system as it pertains to the bilingual ESL department. So here's my contact information in case you may have any questions. Please remember that on January 9th, 2020, Region 10 will be hosting an RDA session. So please make sure you register, as this will be a very important session to understanding the system. So what is RDA? RDA is formerly known as PBMAS. It is an LEA level data-driven monitoring system. And the purpose is to provide an annual evaluation of an LEA's performance and program effectiveness. There have been changes to this system, which includes staging. Staging has been removed, and we now refer to the levels as performance levels. Also, indicators 1, 2, and 5 have been modified. English learners in their first year in U.S. schools were removed from these indicators, unless they were administered Alt 2. Also, indicator number 3 is report only. Indicator 4 has been modified and includes ELs who have met criteria for exit and are no longer ELs in their first through fourth year. So these are the M1 through M4 students. Also, indicators 8 and 9 are report only. So it's very important to understand the components of the RDA, and this can be referenced in the RDA manual, so please make sure the RDA manual is referred to. But just to give you a quick overview, there are some components that are referred to as no data. There is an accountability subset. There is a component titled rounding, and so it explains how each indicator is rounded. Also, PLs, as we refer to, are performance levels, which are results that occur when a PL is applied. Each PL has a range and has a set of cut points. The higher the PL, the lower the LEA performance. Also, just so you know, cut points, they are adjusted based on a variety of stipulations. There are additional components that include report only. So after 1 to 2 years, PLs are assigned to those indicators that state report only. This allows LEAs an opportunity to ensure that they're prepared and they plan ahead based on areas of growth. You will also notice an MSR, which is a minimum size requirement. So each indicator has different requirements, right? So at least 30 students are needed in some indicators, and at least 5 or 10 in relevant segment population numerators for each indicator. The MSR met through current year or through aggregation of numbers in the most recent 2 years. So there's also a component called special analysis. This is when the MSR is not met. And please refer to page 11 of the RDA manual. There are exceptions. If the LEA doesn't meet the MSR, but the performance meets the criteria to earn a PL of 0, then the LEA receives a 0 for indicator. Also, there's a component titled Required Improvement. RDA has a built-in improvement component, and this is what RI refers to, and it's based on progress. Indicator must state that RI is available, and when we look closely at the manual, you will notice by indicator what this means. The formula compares the actual to the cut points. So again, we will review in a bit, and you will understand what I'm referring to. Reasonable progress is another component, and this is based on IDEA, which requires state agencies to identify LEAs that place students with disabilities in a more restrictive setting. And this component primarily refers to the special ed program, so we will not go into depth in regards to this, but when you attend RDA training, you will understand. And monitoring interventions. So Division of Review and Support will notify each LEA selected for a 2019 RDA intervention of its performance and determine their status. Remember, anytime any language changes, there is a likelihood that that indicator will be report only. Obviously, this is determined by TEA. So the purpose of this is to allow LEAs to prepare ahead to avoid adverse effects. For example, in Indicator 1, there was a change in language. Now, English learners in their first year in the U.S., in U.S. schools, are excluded from this indicator unless they were administered Star-Alt 2. So this is an example of language changing, so for that reason, it is now report only. It's very important to be proactive because next year, most likely the indicator won't be report only. So it's important to look at the data and look at previous year performance levels and identify what needs improvement. For example, there was a performance level of 3 in math on Indicator 1. So that is something that you would dive in closely and truly analyze to see what supports and improvement must be made. So we will look at Indicator 1, and this is just a sample report. And I provided the criteria so you can see the components. For each indicator, there is a description of each component in regards to that specific indicator. As you can see, PL assignment doesn't have any detailed information, and this is due to it being report only. So here it's a replica. It is not exactly what your report looks like, but I've recreated it in the same table in the same format. And Indicator 1 provides the content, then it provides the year, the state rate, the district rate, the number of students who passed, and the number of students who were tested. And as you can see, performance level says report only. So when you follow this formula, which is stated in your manual, you will notice that the district rate is 68.8. And when you do the formula to reading, it is the same, you get the same, you get 55.5 as a district rate. Again, because there are no cut points involved, and I'll go back to this because the PL assignment does not provide those ranges, that is why it is a report only. Because for this year, that is, cut points are not assigned, and it is a report only. So that is the reason why no number is assigned. Now we will look at indicator number 4, because I wanted to give an example of each different type of performance level. So for this performance level, it gives you the criteria, for this indicator, it provides the criteria, and then provides you with the assignment, which provides cut points. So again, for all of these components, you have some information that will help guide you to understand the results of this report. Again, the cut point range is right here, and this is for a cut point, a PL of 0. You have the year, you have the content, you have the district rate, you have the number of students who passed, and you have the number of students who tested. Then you have assigned performance levels. So when calculating this provided by this formula, you have a 68.8. I'm going to refer back to the criteria and the PL assignment. So 68.8 for math is a PL 1. That is why it is a performance level of 1. Now we'll do reading. 954 divided by 1,638 is a 58. And the 58 for, I believe it is for reading, is a PL2. So that is exactly how to identify what performance level you are at. Again, this does not say RO because this is actually measuring based on this formula, and the PL there is a PL assignment which provides cut points. So now we're going to do another example. This is report sample number 7 because we're looking at indicator 7. Again, I provided the criteria. I want you to look specific at RI, required improvement, and it says yes, this is applicable. This is going to impact our PL level, and I will explain why. And then here you go with indicator number 7, and here are the cut points, okay, for graduation. So now we're going to look at this example, right? So EL's graduation rate. You have the year, you have the cut points, you have the district rate, you have the graduates, number of graduates, and then the total number of the class in regard to ELs. And you have a performance level, a 0 RI. Okay, so we noticed that 78.7 did not meet the 80 mark. So that means it is not a 0. So we go back and we look to see where it lands. It lands on a PL1. But remember, RI is applicable. So if you look at your manual, you will notice that the formula demonstrates that the actual change must be greater or equal to the RI. So this means we look at the performance in 2019 and we compare the difference with the performance in 2018. If that number is greater than equal to this formula, which will take the minimum PL of 0 cut points, which was an 80, minus 69.6, which is the performance in 2018, then we divide it by 2 because it takes the target year allows districts 1 year beyond 2019 to reach the minimum of performance level 0. So that is why it's 2 years. So you divide it by 2 and you get a 5.2. So 9.1 is greater or equal to 5.2, which means that this district they meet RI and they receive a performance level of 0 RI. Now we're looking at a sample, and this sample provides information on the performance level by each program area. So you have the performance levels above, and in each performance level you see some components. So that's dependent on programs that applied these components in their specific circumstances. And again, that can be found in the framework. Then you have report only. Then you have the total number and the rated number, and then you have the performance level mean, which is that formula below. So, as you can see, they have a 6 for 0 performance level. They have a 1 under the 3 performance level, and they have a total number of 21 report only. And they have a total number of 28 indicators and 7 indicators that were rated. So based on the formula below, you would add 6 times 0, which is 0, plus 3 times 1 is 3, divide that by 7, and you will have a PL mean of 0.4. And now to conclude, we will review the 2019-2020 RDA framework, and this is stating that there are 2 principles that are fundamental to the overall system. That includes LEAs with 1 or more indicators with a PL of 3 or higher are identified for interventions. This means that if your calculated PL mean would normally fall in the PL range of 1 or 2, but you don't have indicators 3 or 4, then you have an overall program performance level of 0 that should be reflected in ISAM. And last but not least, it's just important to remember that interventions are differentiated across 4 performance levels to prioritize LEAs. And that is all for our presentation. We look forward to seeing you on January 9th.